Welcome to the TrimUI brick. This is essentially a fancy Miyoo Mini Plus, which is a fan favorite and my goat of retro gaming. So is this the new goat? Let's find out. So they've packaged it with the screen protector, which you have to pay a bit extra for. So this comes with it. It comes with extra shoulder buttons with different shapes and sizes, and we'll take a look at that just now. It comes with a cable. And they've also sent these translucent ones, which you also need to pay a bit extra for. I will probably feature that in a future video, but we're not going to install those today. This isn't a comparison video, but I do want to point out the obvious comparison to the Miyoo Mini Plus. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the specs compared to these two, but firstly, the pricing. On LitNXT's website, they are the guys, thank you very much to LitNXT, who have sent the TrimUI brick to me. I think they've actually sent this one to me as well. And they are priced as $89 with the stock operating system and $79 with the stock operating system. And as you'll see in this video, neither of these are actually perfect with stock. Both of them need a custom firmware. This one less so. This one is just way better with Onion OS, and it's one of the reasons why it still is the GOAT of retro emulation for me. So yeah, let's get into it. LitNXT do have what they call the Sir Wish SD card that you can buy or pay a little bit extra for, and that is a curated card with a custom operating system called CrossMix, and that fixes a lot of the quirks that I'm going to point out today in this video. All right, so I don't usually just list the specs and hardware, but we're going to talk about that a little bit today. This features the all-winner A133P chipset, which seems to be a little bit better than the Miyoo Mini Plus chipset, but a little bit worse than the RK3566 chipset, which we find in devices like the PowerKitty RGB30 and lots of other devices. If you Google RK3566 and retro handheld, you'll find a bunch. It has an interesting spot for the on-the-go USB ports. It has RGB everywhere. Now, the RGB, and this is one of the reasons to keep the stock operating system, the RGB changes depending on the system that you are playing. So the colors change, which is pretty cool. This bottom port is for data. So you open up the USB storage app, which is here. You open that up while you plugged into your computer, and you will see your SD card there for transferring ROMs. The buttons are dome switches, so the action buttons, the function buttons, everything, these are the sort of micro switches, but these are dome switches, which means they have a soft clickiness to them. They are not the rubber membranes of the Miyoo Mini and the Miyoo Mini Plus. So this has that like mushy retro feel. This does not have that. So pros and cons, it's very direct. It feels really nice, but it's not retro, depending on what you classify as retro. So yeah, these shoulder buttons are really unique. The pressing of them is interesting. There's a very small amount of travel. These inner ones are more clicky than these outer ones. And these are the ones you're going to be using for playing games. The only thing I've noticed is it's not a very it doesn't encourage confidence pressing these on the edge. I don't always feel like they are pressing. They do press, but like this one there, it missed the press there. Yeah, and it's not the best shoulder buttons. Let's quickly take a look at these. Haven't looked at these yet. So these are rounder ones. So these have just got a roundness to them. And then these ones, I know people love an open knife on my desk, so I'll leave that there for you to get upset about. There. So these, I'm guessing, are going to be more jagged. So you're going to have a more jagged approach. These are going to slant in more, and they're going to look like that. So that is a huge win for this. Not every manufacturer offers that. And then you've got these clear ones. And as you can see, there are some lights underneath here. And so if you use these clear buttons, I might do it just at the end of the video and do a bit of B-roll for you. And that will look pretty cool, but it's going to be very bright. So that's the pros and cons. That's why it's an option. Because if you are someone that plays in bed at nights or whatever, this is just going to light up the whole room. You can switch the LEDs off though. No, maybe that is a good little option for you. And then we've got these unique mappable function buttons. We've got the button here. This one is actually useful. So when it arrived, I thought that is a great thing. And then I started to have a look at it. Here's the function keys. And as you'll see there, function 1, D-pad and joystick toggle. So you can toggle this. So if you're playing a lot of PS1 games or PSP games, you can toggle this between joystick and D-pad. So you just maybe set that to it. And so that would be useful. But CPU clock switcher, you might accidentally press it and accidentally put it in low power mode. LCD brightness switcher. So I guess you can set the LCD brightness. I guess that is nice. Maybe I'll do that. And then LED toggle on and off, which I've actually set to there. So there's F2, the same options there. And then you've got the function button, the FN button, which you can put it into quiet mode, silent mode. It's got CPU power save, CPU performance mode. So you flick it up and it goes into performance mode. And then you can switch one of your buttons to turbo. So this is very useful. And I think a lot of people will find a lot of use for that little switch. And then the proverbial shake test. Very gentle bit of shaking there on the shoulder buttons. It might get worse with these extra buttons. Fiddling around with it might make the shaking a little worse. Now, the screen. I found it interesting that, because I was like, oh, they probably just used the same screen. And you probably will see it on screen just by eyeballing it, is the fact that you can see the Miyoo Mini Plus is wider. So if you go there, there's quite a little bit of that 4 or 5 millimeters. And so one of the misleading things with these devices is that the screens are measured in inches diagonally. And 0.2 of an inch is quite a lot, especially when it's such a tiny device. So this is 3.5 inches. This is 3.2 inches. So it's actually 0.3 inches smaller. That is a fair amount. And what this has over this is, now whether it's actually makes a difference in your everyday life. This is a 1024 by 768 pixel screen. This is I think a 640p screen. So this is a 764p screen. So this has a lot more pixels inside a smaller screen. So you're getting a far richer screen experience on this device. But I've gone on record in saying the 3.5 inch screen on the Retroid Pocket 2S, which is actually a similar price to these two, is too small in 2023 when I reviewed it. So a 3-inch screen, does make it more pocketable, and this thing is like more of an everyday carry sort of device. I will give it a pass. I don't know if you will. I think it's okay. I don't know if you will. Okay. So checking the brightness on the screen, just checking it out in the studio, not going outside today. The screen is not super, super bright. This is very dark, so let's get past this. Blacks are pretty good for an LCD screen. But you can see that is now what we call peaking on my camera. But usually if I put something to total brightness, it'll be almost completely washed out in the studio. So this isn't a super duper bright screen. I set this. But it is pretty cool. It is pretty bright. Oh, that's the brightness. Pocketability, I am doing a top-down today, so I can't do my usual crotch time. But as you can see, and as I mentioned, it is narrower than the Miyoo Mini Plus. If we look at the Retroid Pocket 2S, which is fairly pocketable, but this really holds it back, is these flares over here. This has been designed just like the Miyoo Mini Plus. It's been designed with pocketability in mind. It doesn't have any flared shoulders, no overhang whatsoever. The other huge deal is that this is about 2 millimeters thinner than the Miyoo Mini Plus. Sacrificed on the screen, but made it super pocketable. Can't help myself, you can't see me off screen, but that is very pocketable. That is something that you can just chuck in your pockets and off you go. A quick weight test, and now this is where things change, because even though it's pocketable, if you're wearing a pair of flimsy shorts, there, 162.9. Wait, what? 163? Wow, that is crazy. They're about the same. Wait, this definitely feels heavier. It must have something to do with the center of gravity. So yeah, I was going to go on screen that I always do the weight measurement like here. I was going to do that on screen and say, oh, it's not very light, but it's not bad. Okay. Feeling in hand. Okay, this is where this review gets exciting and fun because this thing is really nice. The Miyoo Mini Plus is okay. It doesn't have a very matte texture, but it's a nice texture. The RP2S has got a lovely sort of balance between texture and smoothness. And this is about the same. This is a matte plastic. The D-pad's also matte. These buttons are also matte, so everything is matte. And it feels really good in the hand. It's brick-like, obviously, by the name. These shoulder buttons are a little bit sharp here and here, which is not really somewhere you're going to put your fingers. This is a little sharp, but you can change the shoulder buttons if you want to. Feeling in hand, like I said, it feels more sturdy. I really thought this was heavier than the Miyoo Mini Plus. This has rounded edges. This also has rounded edges, a little sharp over here. This is much rounder. It's got the chamfer over here. This doesn't have that sort of Game Boy-esque DMG chamfer. And it's a little sharper, but you're going to hold it like that. And so that's not going to affect you too much. But yeah, this area here is a little sharp. But overall, the feeling in hand that I get here is just premium. It feels like a high-end device. It feels a lot more expensive than it is. It looks more expensive than it is. Yeah. So yeah, nice feeling in hand. Bloody hell, the screen guard. I ruined it. All right, we're going to do a quick audio test here in the studio. I'm not going to move the mic. I'm just going to put this sort of here-ish. We're going to let's go with Adin and let's turn the volume up. It has background music, which you can switch off. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's full blast. So let's, you can't see that. So let's put this here. So reviewing that audio, I do think they've calibrated this audio to be a bit softer because the audio quality isn't as good coming out these speakers. It's not as bright and in your face, but it does sound better because the Miyoo Mini, I was toggling the volume because it was distorting either way. So that might be an emulator thing. Overall, you're not getting great audio quality here. The audio sort of resonates out the body. When I put my ear here, yeah, I hear audio. The TrimUI Smart Pro, where the sound was actually coming from somewhere else. It is a similar sort of quirk where I can hear the audio emanating out the body, but most of it is coming out here. So weird thing that they've done with audio once again, but it does sound quite good. Not great, but okay. And then the battery, this has a 3000 milliamp hour battery, exactly the same as the Miyoo Mini Plus. It seems to have pretty good battery management. It's got a sleep mode and they claim 5 hours. I'm not sure, I doubt that can be game time. I'm going to quickly grab my fast charger. So this is a USB-C to USB fast charger, which is kryptonite to a lot of these gaming devices. It says it's charging. Yeah, so that charges, so that's good. It won't fast charge, I doubt it, but at least it charges from there. All right, now connectivity. We do have Wi-Fi on this, which is great, but a huge fail, in my opinion, is the fact that this does not have artwork scraping. So we've got Wi-Fi, it connects to the Wi-Fi fine, but no artwork scraping. Now, before I do the Bluetooth headphone test, I want to just see, I have the Wi-Fi connected and I'm going to do wired headphones because sometimes the Wi-Fi interferes with the wired headphone audio. Oh, it is very sharp in the ears, so just turning it down. Very tinny sound coming through the headphone jack. Yeah, so no interference on the audio with the headphone jack, so that's good. But now let's do a quick test of, let's see if it connects to, a lot of these Linux devices don't connect to Bluetooth headphones. So let's go there. Okay, it says it's connected, so let's see, just putting these on my head. Yeah, so there are massive delays on the Bluetooth audio here. So it's going to be fine for playing music because delay doesn't matter that much. But in terms of playing games, that's not going to work. All right, now let's pair a Bluetooth controller. This is the KK3. It's you get it on Amazon from a store called Acnes. They've sent it to me to test out. Okay, there we go. Pairing mode. The nice thing about this controller is the buttons. They are really nice buttons. It has great shoulder buttons, very big action buttons, and these joysticks actually. The joysticks are really nice. Let's see here. Oh, that's promising. Okay, let's see. Now, this is just purely theoretical because... Oh, that's weird. Okay, so the buttons are mapped strangely. But there's no HDMI out or video out on this. This is purely theoretical. Yeah, we're not getting... So I'll have to map it in RetroArch. Yeah, anyway, it doesn't work. So a little bit more testing needed there, but what you would benefit from there is the fact that you can use it for music playing. So we've spoken about the aesthetics. I asked my kids what they think about it, and they were like, "Oh, it's very nice." I think this device is going to get attention. People are going to walk up to you and go, "Oh, what is that?" Because it just looks fancy. It looks futuristic. It's got all the flashing lights. It really does look nice. It's got this matte plastic that doesn't seem to be picking up fingerprints that much. It doesn't seem to be retro. It's not a retro-looking device, but it does remind me of Steve Jobs' Next. I don't know if you ever saw the Cube that he built, which is 90s futuristic design. Maybe that is retro to you. Depends on what retro means to you. But yeah, it's got that sort of 90s, like Xboxy vibe to it. When was the Xbox made? I don't know. And then looking at the UI, I got to hand it to TrimUI for sticking to their user interface and trying to make something that is unified and useful and has everything in one place. Initially, the sort of left and right menu design, menu interface, I wasn't too sure what the hell was going on, because if you press back, it does that. Then you press down, you go there, and then the top piece disappears. But L1 and R1 will do the left and right thing, and your D-pad will do the left and right thing. So eventually you start to figure it out. So just by pressing buttons, you figure it out. So it is fairly intuitive. Now, if we go to these apps, we have Moonlight streaming. So for your sort of easy to stream to a device like this games, you've got the Moonlight streaming. It has a nice media player. You could play videos in here. Here's a video quickly. And with this high-resolution screen, the videos look really good. That looks really nice. So if you pop on a few videos that you want to watch, maybe you've downloaded some anime or something and you're going on a flight, this thing will be ideal for that. But you'll need to use wired headphones, not Bluetooth. And then a little housekeeping thing I wanted to show you was I noticed a problem with one of the emulators and for a specific game. So maybe the ROM's not responding well to that specific emulator. You can go in here and press X, and you can go and change your emulator for that game. I think it only changes it for that game. Let's have a look. Yeah, so it switches the emulator on a per game basis. So that is quite a cool feature. And then I did notice that EU games, I was running the European version of Darkwing Duck, and it was running really fast. And so I had to go in. So if I open the game, I'll quickly show you. So you have to press the menu button, go to advanced menu. You're already in the quick menu here. Then you go down to core options there, go to system. And here you have to set your region. Now, when I set it to auto, it actually caused problems. And so there's a bit of a quirk here. So like I said, I switched it to auto and then I saved it, and then I was having problems across the board. And so there's some VSync or something happening in the background with the setup that they've done with RetroArch that isn't working. So for now, I'm just using US NTSC games, but those sorts of things will be fixed up in the Surwish Crossmix SD card, which Lit NXT have told me they're going to send me next week so we can do a comparison of those two. So if you do want to just avoid any of the little quirks on here, go for the Surwish/Crossmix card that they are offering on their website. So I'm going to need to do more testing here, but I got the glitches with NES and I also noticed micro stutters in game. So when I was doing a little bit of NES gaming, there were little jumps and glitches. So there's definitely something wrong with the way that this is set up. This chipset should be fine with NES, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Games on the multi-cart, so that's another feature that I haven't shown you yet. So if you go into this best menu and you go to these multi-cart cartridges, I went into the 301 or something. It's like super nostalgic remembering these from the olden days. But I tried to play a game in here and one of the games just didn't play. That was an NES game, so I'm not sure what's going on there. It might just be those specific 360 and one and that. Maybe it's a problem with those. But then I played Star Fox for SNES, which played fine. PS1 seemed fine. I think I'm going to do a dedicated gaming test. So when they send me that CrossMix card, I'm just going to do a bunch of games on each card and see what plays well. So that'll be a day of my life just playing a bunch of games, and then I will give you the results of that. I think that's a good second video for this device. PSP wasn't great. Also, follow me on X and subscribe here on YouTube, because I'm going to definitely share my experiences with this device. I'm going to do some gameplay and see what sort of issues I have. So is this the GOAT of retro emulation? In short, no, I don't think so. I don't think this is a Miyoo Mini Plus beta, but it definitely is a great contender. I think it is something very special for somebody looking for something different, somebody that likes the idea of all these. Look how the RGB has changed with the blue on the game. It's got a great everyday carry look to it. It's something that people will notice. Lit NXT are offering a case for it and all that sort of thing. So you can get all the bells and whistles and make it work really nicely for you in your life. I think the thing that I'm always looking for when trying to find something to beat the Miyoo Mini Plus is auto resume and just the niceties of the user interface of Onion OS. And I do think CrossMix does introduce that, but it is a lot less attractive as a user interface compared to Onion OS. Also, personally, the retro jankiness of the Miyoo Mini Plus just has a certain charm to it. Oops. It just has that X factor. If I put a Game Boy game on here, it just takes me back to the olden days when my friend would lend me his Game Boy. It's got that charm to it. And the biggest screen, just picking it up now, just quickly picking it up now after doing the video, having a slightly bigger screen, 3.5 inches, I feel is my limit in terms of small screens. This is quite small. However, to end on a bombshell, objectively, the TrimUI seems to be better built, has the fun RGB accents, and feels like something you'd see in one of those everyday carry videos. I would highly recommend this as a gift and as your personal daily retro gaming handheld.